Hello, everybody. This is the Pocket Passer. I'm your host, Randy White. I hope all of you are having a fantastic day. I know I am. Week 2 of the NFL season has come and gone, and there were a lot of great games to break down for you. Starting with the Chargers-Chiefs Thursday Night Football game. I said it was going to be a good game. I had the Chargers covering. Chiefs were favored -4. I took the Chargers +4. I actually had them winning. That did not happen, but in terms of betting, if I were to put money on it, I would have won money in that situation. That game's very interesting. I feel like the Chargers were the better team, and I feel like the Chargers outplayed the Chiefs. There were a couple key plays that changed the outcome of that game. For one, not really one of the plays that changes the outcome of the game, but Justin Herbert is incredible. What he was able to do after fracturing cartilage or breaking cartilage in his rib cage, what he was able to do throwing the football, especially on that 4th and 1, and then on the 4th and 5 for the touchdown. Two incredible passes, especially the 4th and 1, when he was in so much pain on 3rd and 1 that when he could have just walked for a first down, no one even close to him. He had to throw the ball away, and he was barely even able to do that with how much pain he was in. And then he comes back the very next play and delivers one of the best throws I have seen him make in his career. It was an exceptional pass over the middle of the field into double coverage over the underneath player and in between the safety on the deep skinny post to set up 1st and goal, where they eventually scored and made it 27-24, which was then the final score. But the key plays were an interception from Patrick Mahomes that was called back due to illegal contact on the defense, where Marquez Valdes-Scantling ran into the DB and threw him to the ground, and they then called illegal contact on the defensive back, which was a very intriguing penalty, to say the least. I do not agree with the call at all. Without a doubt, if anything, pass interference on the offense or illegal contact on the offense, holding on the whatever you want to call it, it was a penalty by the offensive player that would have been declined, a Chargers interception. And the big one, Chiefs were losing. They go down and score a touchdown on this drive. Patrick Mahomes throws the ball over the middle of the field. Asante Samuel Jr. right there to make the play, and he drops a huge and possibly game-winning interception. I know there was a lot of time left, but that is a game-changing takeaway that would have given the Chargers possession of the football in plus territory. The Chiefs went down and scored a touchdown on that drive, and the tempo of the game was kind of changed after that. The Chiefs had momentum, and they had really just taken a hold of all the momentum by that point, especially when the final game-changing play of the game was made when Justin Herbert, on a 14-point swing play, threw a pick six, a 100-yard pick six to the Chiefs, where Gerald Everett is trying to sub himself out. He's asking for a sub because he's exhausted. They go up tempo, so he has to stay in the game, because if you make a sub on offense, you have to slow down to allow the defense to make a sub. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to have to catch the defense on their heels. They paid the price. Gerald Everett, tired and disconnected from the play, it appeared. He kind of drifted outside when the DB had outside leverage, meaning that he should have made an effort to take space inside where Herbert was throwing the pass, and that's where he expected Everett to be. Herbert threw the pass inside. The DB broke on it, and he took it to the house. That was the play of the game for the Chiefs and the play of the game for the Chargers, because if that goes even a little bit different, if it's even incomplete, the Chargers probably win that game. Certainly if they throw a touchdown on that play, the Chargers win. So really, it was a fun game. It was a good game, and I expect a lot out of both teams. The Chiefs have proven me, I think, already wrong. They've proven that they can spread the ball around to a plethora of different playmakers, Travis Kelce being the ringleader of that group, but also Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was impressive, and the Chiefs' running game appeared to be present in that game. So if they can keep that up, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be a very good team, and they could win the division. I know I predicted them to miss the playoffs, but that's not looking too hot right now, especially with the way Denver started. There needs to be a lot of changes made. It's only week 2. I'm not ready to overreact on what I've seen from a lot of these teams. But Chiefs look good. Chargers do look good despite the loss. I felt like they were the better team. And now moving on to Patriots-Steelers. Speaking of not overreacting, the Steelers are in trouble. And I don't think this is an overreaction. Mitchell Trubisky struggles to push the ball downfield. He doesn't really do so unless the play is explicitly designed to where he has to. He struggles to read concepts. That's what it looks like to me, at least, is that he's not reading the full field, not seeing the big picture on some of these plays, some of these pass concepts to where you can force the ball downfield or push the ball, not force, but push the ball downfield when the defense gives you certain looks. Minkah Fitzpatrick is incredible for the Steelers, but that doesn't really matter. And the rest of the Steelers' defense is incredible, has played really, really well the last 2 weeks, but it doesn't really matter when the offense cannot put a drive together by themselves without the defense handing them the ball in plus territory to save their lives. If Mitchell Trubisky and this passing offense don't figure out something fast, the Steelers are not going to win many games despite their good defense, because they're going to tee off on Najee Harris in that run game, and if you can't make them pay over the top consistently, they're going to keep doing it, and the Steelers are just going to punt and punt and punt and punt, and the Steelers defense is going to be on the field. Opposing teams are going to own time of possession, regardless of how good that defense is. They can't keep them out of the end zone forever. We saw that happen. They kept New England out of the end zone for a while, but strain kind of appeared to build up. Nelson Aguilar made a great play at the end of the half, and the Steelers offense just could not could not help out and play complementary football for that defense. So Patriots, I don't love the Patriots. I still don't think the Patriots are really going anywhere. But frankly, right now, these are two teams that aren't going anywhere. Panthers Giants. Daniel Jones has played solid football these first 2 weeks. I haven't really been able to watch them a lot, but the Panthers appeared to shut down Saquon Barkley fairly effectively after his big game week 1. Daniel Jones right now throwing for 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, about 6.6 yards an attempt. He's throwing for 71% completion percentage right now. So I'm seeing some stuff out of Daniel Jones that I like. He appears to be protecting the ball a little better than he has been, considering that he's been breaking records his first couple years in the league, 4 turnovers. If we don't see that anymore, that's absolutely a positive. Panthers offense struggled against I don't know what to think of the Giants defense. These are two teams similar to the Patriots Steelers. I think they're limited both offensively and in some cases defensively. I don't hate the Panthers defensive personnel, and apparently the Giants defensive personnel is solid because they held the Panthers to 16 points. That could mean a lot. That could mean very, very little. These are two teams that I just don't think are going much of anywhere. And let's follow that up with another game with two teams I don't think are going anywhere. Jets-Browns. How about Joe Flacco, though? Joe Flacco is in the top 3 in passing yards. He, Carson Wentz, and Tua Tagovailoa are the top 3 passing leaders for the first 2 weeks of the season. And how about that comeback? 17-30 with about a minute and 50 seconds to go. The Jets score a touchdown from a Joe Flacco pass, get the onside kick, and score again to win the game by 1. Browns go home 1-1 after a great come from behind really, but a great game-winning drive from Jacoby Brissett in week 1 and a great win over the Panthers in week 1. They follow that up with a disastrous loss over the Jets. The Browns are a team that's not going to be able to play against good teams well, considering they don't have their star quarterback. They needed to be able to win games against teams like the Jets, and not getting it done is going to hurt them in the long run. And I think this is just going to prove that the Browns aren't going to be able to do much, especially not until Deshaun Watson gets back. These are two teams not going anywhere. Colts Jaguars now. That's a confusing game. I thought the Colts would be good coming into the season. Trevor Lawrence played well. Matt Ryan, 3 picks. All 3 interceptions created by the Jaguars pass rush. I can't entirely blame Matt Ryan, although the first one was a mistake by him, because although there's pressure in his face, you can't throw a pass like that off your back foot. It gives the defense too much time to recover, and they got a pick on that big play. Tiny sparks of life from Jonathan Taylor where we saw him make plays, but they just weren't able to get the ball to him. They weren't able to keep possession of the ball. Jaguars were able to move the ball effectively. Trevor Lawrence played well through a couple dropped picks, but for the most part, played pretty well. I like what I'm seeing from the Jaguars these first 2 weeks. 22-28 loss where they had the lead over Washington before Carson Wentz willed them back to a win. and then a 24-0 victory over a team that I feel like is much better than them. Apparently, I'm wrong because they just dominated them. Jaguars 24, Colts nothing. I am really, really concerned with the Colts right now. I'm not quite ready to hit the panic button, but in a week or two, I will be if they don't fix some things and fast. And now, probably the game of the week. Dolphins, Ravens. Dolphins with an incredible comeback. Tua Tagovailoa, 4 fourth-quarter touchdown passes, 6 on the day. He threw 2 bad picks early, but after that, they were locked in. The Ravens had a 35-14 lead in the fourth quarter, and Tua Tagovailoa, excellent job bringing them back with 2 touchdown passes to Tyreek Hill, both deep balls, and then the game winner to Jalen Waddle to seal it. Those 2 guys had huge games, each with 11 catches. Tyreek Hill, 11 catches, 190 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 11 catches, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Exceptional performances by the both of them, and a huge, huge win for Miami. An upset win that is part of one of the games that ruined my picks this week. The only game I got right in the point spread, or at all. Well, not at all. The only game I got right in the point spread was the Chargers-Chiefs game, and I didn't get a single game right as far as winners go. So a rough week for me. In fact, this week has caused me to change my format for the predictions. I'm still going to be doing predictions. We'll go over those predictions tomorrow when I get those out to you, but it's going to be a little bit different of a format. I'm not going to be picking the 5 best games of the season and 5 best games of the week, because I feel like those are games that are harder to predict. I'm taking teams that are more evenly matched with tighter point spreads and saying, oh, who's going to win? It's kind of a 50-50 shot. So I'm going to give you a little bit different format tomorrow. I think it'll be a little more interesting. But really exceptional game by Tua and an exceptional game by Lamar Jackson. Just wasn't quite enough to get him the win because Tua just lit that Ravens defense on fire, especially in the fourth quarter. Lamar Jackson, the first player ever to have a 75-yard passing touchdown and a 75-yard rushing touchdown in one game. He's exceptional. He's showing he can pass the ball effectively when he has receivers that win routes and make catches when they're open. Cough, cough. Someone who plays for Arizona now. But the Ravens receivers are making plays this year. Lamar Jackson is making plays like always, and this Ravens team is going to be deadly if their corners stop getting burnt. So that's really all I have. These are both going to be good teams this year, and they're both teams that should push for the playoffs in a competitive conference. I doubt both of them make the playoffs, but we'll see. Buccaneers Saints, we saw Buccaneer Jameis in that game. Jameis Winston back to throwing the ball to his old teammates. That was a struggle to watch, especially in the fourth quarter. Jameis Winston seemed to just fall apart with some terrible, terrible interceptions. The pick 6 to seal it was really bad. 3 interceptions there. He didn't play horribly in the first half. He seemed poised, although he didn't have a lot of yards. Just felt like he was doing what he could. He was taking what the defense gave him. But in the second half, that went out the window. He stopped taking what the defense gave him. Obviously, taking what the defense gave him wasn't much because they weren't getting points on the board. But turning the ball over is significantly worse than not putting points on the board, especially when you have a defense that's keeping the other team from putting points on the board. And then you give your opposing team points by throwing a pick 6 that sealed the game. Very poor game from Jameis Winston down the stretch. And I'm concerned with the Saints now. If we're seeing inconsistent Jameis again, the Saints won't go far. I was banking on consistent Jameis like last year. They went 5-2 with him at the helm. But if we don't get that, you're not going to see 11-6 like I predicted. And you're not going to see 5-2 like they had last year. This is going to be a struggling team for the Saints if they don't get it together when playing good defenses. The Buccaneers defenses looked exceptional in back-to-back weeks. Let's see if the Buccaneers offense can pick it up playing against the Green Bay Packers this week. Another very good defense. They've had to play the Cowboys, a great defense. The Saints, a really good defense. And now the Packers, a very good defense. Can the Buccaneers pick it up? Julio Jones will be back. Mike Evans suspended and Chris Godwin out. So, very interesting matchup here. I think the Packers corners are going to have a field day. More on that tomorrow, of course. Commanders Lions. Lions offense looks good. Jared Goff is doing his job, distributing the football to his talented receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been nothing short of spectacular the first 2 games of the season, and in the last 5 games of the season last season, Amon-Ra St. Brown has putting together some exceptional football the last 7 or so games he's played. I'm excited to see what that young man keeps doing as he just continues to roll over NFL defenses. It was 22-0 at the half before the Commanders finally put something together and missed an extra point that knocked them out of the game. So a rough way for that to finish. I could have told you this. Seahawks Week 1 performance versus the Broncos was fool's gold. They're not a good team, and the 49ers made sure to make that very clear, abundantly clear. In Week 2, they rolled them 27-7. Unfortunately, Trey Lance with the broken ankle, he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Hate to see a young guy who's trying to prove himself, trying to prove that he's going to be a star player in the league, or whatever it may be, trying to make a name for himself, and to have an injury like that. You hate to see it. So thoughts absolutely with Trey Lance as he recovers from this injury. Really, really unfortunate turn of events. The 49ers have a good team. They bounced back and they kept rolling with the punches regardless of their starting quarterback being out. They bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, who's a veteran that just led them to the NFC Championship last year. And Jimmy Garoppolo played well, got the job done. Kudos to Jimmy Garoppolo for coming in short notice and doing what he does best, being cool in the moment and delivering the 49ers a win. Texans, Broncos, I don't know what you want to tell them. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. The Broncos are the most penalized team in the league, most penalty yards. They just seem dysfunctional and disorganized. They lost a game they should have won against Seattle last week, and then they barely beat a team that they should be significantly better than this week. The red zone offense has been abysmal. The Broncos, a lot of people are optimistic about a preseason, but there's a lot of concerning things about the Broncos. They need to get figured out. The defense played a lot better this week than they did last week, but there's just a lot to be concerned with. I need to see more out of Denver. I'm unimpressed. Bengals, Cowboys, Cooper Rush. That's it. 2 words. 4 words. Cooper Rush, Noah Brown. That's all there is to it. Cooper Rush came in, did his job in his second career start. He's now 2-0 as a starter. He got the job done, played well against a solid Bengals defense. The Bengals offensive line continuing to play horribly. Joe Burrow on pace for 110 sacks this year. I'm sure that pace won't continue, but 13 sacks in the first 2 games of the season is nothing short of horrific and embarrassing. The Bengals offense needs to get it together. Part of it's on Joe Burrow. Part of it's on the Bengals offensive line, the personnel itself, and part of it's on the play calling and the blocking schematics. It's all bad on all 3 facets of pass blocking. The players aren't doing well blocking. Joe Burrow's not holding onto the ball too long. He is holding onto the ball too long. And the offensive staff is not doing them any favors by putting them in poor matchups, not getting their slides correct, as far as what way you want to slide the protection to, not getting extra men in blocking. There's just so many problems with this offensive line that the Bengals just can't seem to figure out. And they need to get it together or Joe Burrow's going to get hurt, his season's going to be over, and the Bengals are going to go back to mediocrity. That's what's going to happen if they don't lock it in and protect this guy. Because right now he's running for his life every play. They're not getting schemes together that are allowing him to get the ball out fast, and teams aren't even feeling it necessary to blitz them because they can get pressure with 4 because their schemes are bad and their blocking is bad. It's all around just chaotic disorganization with the Bengals front part of the offensive line, that line of scrimmage. They are losing the line of scrimmage, and they're going to continue to lose games because of it unless they get it figured out. The Bengals should be winning these football games. They're better than the Steelers, and they're better than the Cowboys, especially without Dak Prescott. But they got to get that front figured out. They can't allow Joe Burrow to get sacked 6 and 7 times a game. They will have a losing record, and Joe Burrow will get injured again if they don't get it figured out and fast. Packers-Bears, Sunday Night Football. It's not a great game, but it's a game that you just have to have every year because it's the longest tenured rivalry in the NFL. At least that's how the NFL feels about it, as they feel. that you have to have it every year because they keep putting them on television despite the fact that the Packers keep blowing them out on television. They haven't had a good game since 2018 when Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year and the Bears went 12-4. That's the last time the Packers-Bears have had a good game. Other than that, Aaron Rodgers just seems to embarrass them every year, even when they don't have receiving options, they still find a way to put up 27 points. Aaron Jones, huge game. The receivers were a factor today, or Sunday night. Sammy Watkins, 3 catches, 93 yards, which, by the way, is more than Devontae Adams, 2 catches for 12 yards. Whereas that stat, now that Devontae Adams isn't doing too hot in week 2, they only want to show the stat when he had a huge game, but as soon as he has a poor game, it's just brushed under the rug. Sammy Watkins had a nice day. Allen Lazard had a nice day. Randall Cobb had a nice day. Rodgers played exceptional against a poor Bears team. Let's see what he does against a very good Buccaneers defense this weekend. But a lot of things to be happy about if you're a Packers fan. The defense looked really good after that first drive. They shut down the Bears offense. Jair Alexander played well. The corners played well. The linebackers played well. The pass rush was lights out. Rashawn Gary had a great game. Packers have a lot to look forward to on defense, and if they can get consistency out of their receivers, they're going to be a good team. If they don't get consistency out of their receivers, they're not going to be a good team. It's that simple. We'll see what they do against a good Buccaneers defense this weekend. That's when you can start to make a clear judgment on the Packers offense and how far they can go this season. That's going to be their battle test. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Titans-Bills was a disaster. There's a reason I picked the Bills in my Pick'em League. Bills smoked the Titans. Ryan Tannehill struggling with pass rush all over him. He was under pressure all day long. They couldn't get a run game going. Both defenses dominated the line of scrimmage. The difference is Stephon Diggs was unguardable and almost beat me in fantasy because of it. Incredible game out of him. 3 touchdowns, a ton of yards. Josh Allen was exceptional. 4 total touchdowns, 3 touchdown passes, all to Diggs. They got to sit out the entire fourth quarter because it was such a blowout. 41-7, Bills over Titans. Malik Willis got to play in this fourth quarter, and the Titans offense looked solid with him. They moved the ball better with Malik Willis than they did the entire game with Ryan Tannehill. So Ryan Tannehill is probably still going to be the starter. I'm not really worried about that, but Malik Willis showed some promise. Let's see if he can continue to learn behind Ryan Tannehill and eventually get a shot later in the season or next year. And then Eagles-Vikings was the one that really surprised me. The Eagles dominated that game start to finish, and Jalen Hurts looked like a pro pocket polished passer. Jalen Hurts impressed me immensely. Last year, I felt like he struggled to read concepts at times and didn't entirely see the way defenses were playing things, but he was next to perfect last night. He saw everything that Minnesota Vikings defense tried to do to him. He threw the ball quickly when he had to. He held onto the ball when he had to. He made plays outside the pocket when he had to. The Eagles love RPOs, and they ran them over and over and over again against Minnesota, and they killed Minnesota with it. The key is Hurts has the option to hand the ball off to the running back, and if he doesn't want to do that, he pulls it, runs right, and then he's got his tight end releasing the flat. Dallas Goedert, he can throw it to him, or if the linebacker flies to Goddard, he just cuts up the middle or makes a little move to make a miss and cuts up the middle. We saw him score his first touchdown that way. We saw him throw several completions to Goddard that way, and then also spreading the ball to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith getting catches. This Eagles offense looks tough to beat, and this Eagles defense looks good as well. Darius Slay, huge night, completely locked up Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins with 3 picks, really struggled his first pick. I don't blame Kirk Cousins for the first pick. Justin Jefferson needed to get in front of Darius Slay and cross his face. He decided to go behind, and the ball went straight to Slay. So that's really on Jefferson. In that situation, Kirk Cousins is reading the defense, and he makes the right decision to throw that ball to Jefferson. If he stays flat and inside, it might be a touchdown. Instead, it's not. The rest of the picks were bad on Kirk Cousins' part. Kirk Cousins, once again, struggles on Monday night or in primetime in general. The Eagles are looking like the best team in the NFC. More on that tomorrow. But there's a lot of positive things to look at, especially if you're an Eagles fan. Bills are the best team in the league. Excellent comeback from the Cardinals over the Raiders. The Raiders up 20-0, and they don't hold on Kyler Murray with a 20-second two-point conversion play where he eventually runs the ball in for the two-point conversion, and then they win in overtime because of a Hunter Renfrow fumble. Hunter Renfrow fumbles twice in 3 plays. On the second fumble, Byron Murphy picks it up and runs it back to the house for the game-ending touchdown. That was an electrifying game, and especially an electrifying finish. Kyler Murray showing that he is really the real deal when it matters most against a good Raiders team. He made some exceptional plays down the stretch to extend plays, get in the end zone. Really, really incredible job by Kyler Murray in that game. So Cardinals, some interesting things there. Their defense looked bad in the first half, great in the second half. If they can string together a full game and play well against teams that aren't as good as the Chiefs, the Cardinals could be solid this year. More from Kyler Murray. We need to see more consistency from Kyler Murray. If he can give that to us, the Cardinals could be competitive. And the Raiders right now are crumbling. 0-2. Very poor performance from the offense in the second half in back-to-back weeks. The Raiders need to get things figured out. The offensive line not protecting well in week 1. I don't know how they did in week 2, but I can imagine the Cardinals got after it in the second half if they didn't get any points on the board. Devontae Adams was completely shut down outside of his touchdown, and the Raiders' offense just not making enough plays when they needed to in the second half. And that's all I have for you guys. That's my review of last week's games. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, hit the bell icon to turn on notifications if you want to know when I upload my next videos. Follow me on my social media platforms. I'm getting a ton of TikToks out, especially on game days, reacting to the games that are happening. At the Pocket Passer on TikTok, at the Pocket Passer on Instagram, where I post about these videos. I post when I'm uploading these videos, and so on. And that's all I have for you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.